if you are a woman, you should leave Hinduism. And we're going to get into this video because I know that this video will make a lot of women upset, because if anything, if you know anything about the spiritual girlies, they live in the house of the chakras, right? They live in the house, where they sit around and they sit with their legs folded and they talk about, balancing all of their chakras and how important it is for you to kind of have that balance so that you can have the spiritual clarity, so that you can manifest. Yeah, bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all man-made mythology. And we're going to get into it because it's important that if you are looking to deconstruct from all male ideologies, it makes sense to start with Hinduism, considering that Hinduism is one of the oldest religions in the world. And I love Hinduism, and I love the fact that there's so many women who have no idea what they're bowing down to and what they're serving. And why should they have any idea? Because the information that I'm about to provide to you right now, you don't really hear that about Hinduism. You won't hear this information at all about Hinduism. If anything, you're going to hear that Hinduism is a religion of peace. People who practice Hinduism are all about peace on the planet. It's all about peace. When you hear about the other religions that I'm going to do too, I'm going to do Christianity, and I'm also going to do Islam. Similar to Hinduism, all of those religions are about peace. All of those religions love women and they treat women so well. So let's look at Hinduism and let's look at the role of women in Hinduism. But before we get into it, I have to give you a backstory. I have to give you some history. And this is basic Google, right? Because I think that when it comes to shit that we subscribe to, you should have a generalization of what you believe in. And if you meet a spiritual girly and you talk to a spiritual girly after this video, don't share this video at all, but go to her and ask her, where does the chakras come from? I want you to do that. And I want you to stay silent and let her explain it. And then when she gives you some bullshit, I want you to ask her, so where does that come from? You have to make her go as far back as she can. And a lot of the time she won't be able to, because again, this is all bullshit. This is all male-made mythology bullshit, and it's not grounded in any fucking reality, right? But we're going to get into it, and I wanted to start with Hinduism, and then from Hinduism, we're going to get into the belief in the chakras, and we're going to debunk that fucking myth. We're going to debunk that or deconstruct that chakra, that belief in the chakras, that you have these invisible pressure points in your body. Yeah, bullshit. And we're going to get into when, you do see the spiritual girlies and they claim that they're so at peace, because that's how they talk, right? They talk about being at peace and being one with the world and how balanced their chakras are. But then when you really kind of watch them on a day's end, they're, smoking weed all day, right? So it's not that she's calm because her chakras are balanced. She's fucking high. Yeah, she's calm because she's high. And being high is how she self-medicates. So don't you fucking believe for a minute that a woman walking around claiming to have her chakras balanced is up on one than you are. No, she's not better than you at all. Remember I said this before in regards to spirituality. Spiritual women have to one-up other women because they have to flex like they have this privy knowledge into shit that you don't know. You got to stop all of that. You have to stop all of that, and you have to stop letting these spiritual girlies who mastered male ideologies finesse one over your head to make you believe that they're up on something that no one else is up on. Yeah, they're not aligned at all. They're high. A lot of them are high. A lot of them are addicted to cannabis. They are addicted to cannabis-like substances. They have to wake up and bake up. Right? They have to go to bed and bake down. If it's not weed, it's alcohol. It's something. It's some substance that they can't make it through the day with. So you're not lacking anything as a woman when you do sit next to the spiritual girly and she flicks her hair over her shoulder and she tells you that she's aligned, then she's balanced. And you have to get into your heart chakra and your throat chakra and, you know, the other chakras in your body to kind of be aligned and get like me, sis. Yeah, bullshit. So basic, regular, degular Google. Hinduism is an Indian religion or dharma, a religious or universal order by which its followers abide. And the majority of practitioners of Hinduism, they're in India. 94% of Indians in India right now, they still practice Hinduism, right? Men and women, but we'll get into that later. Exonym, the word Hindu is an exonym, and while Hinduism has been called, the oldest religion in the world, it has been described as the Sanatana Dharma, or the external Dharma. If I'm mispronouncing that, correct me in the comments, right? I don't really give a shit, but I just have to get to the belly of this and how it's very important for people to deconstruct from these ridiculous beliefs. And you can find the deconstructing or debunking Hinduism website if you just Google it. And when you do Google that website, you're going to come across historians, and especially women, who had to sit down and go back in history to see where do these beliefs come from. So women have already did the work, but because they're women, we know that no one listens to them. Right? That's a guarantee that no one will ever listen to you. Just be a woman and all of your hard work will be pushed to the fucking side. But let's continue. It says a modern usage based on the belief that its origins lie beyond human history, as revealed in the Hindu text, similar to Islam. Another eponym for Hinduism is Valika Dharma. And let's go to the history of the chakras, because I really want to get into that, because I know that people are saying, no, we do have chakras. We do have it. And you're wrong, because this is ancient knowledge and you don't understand what you're talking about. Sure. So let's just get into it so that we can all have the clarity. Chakras, right? Romanticized, that's the first thing that it says, are various focal points used in a variety of ancient meditation practices collectively, denominated as Tantra, part of the inner traditions of Hinduism and Buddhism. Also, it says the concept of the chakra arose in Hinduism. Beliefs differ between the Indian religions, with many Buddhist texts consistently mentioning 5 chakras, while Hindu sources reference 6 or 7. Early Sanskrit texts speak of them both as meditative visualizations combining flowers and mantras, and as physical entities in the body. Within Kundalini Yoga, and I know you've heard Kundalini before because we spoke about Kundalini in the last Christian video. So when you hear spiritual people, they will talk to you, especially if they love the Bible and they love Christianity. You will hear all day them talking about Christ consciousness and how the Kundalini is supposed to run up and down your spine, and that's your Kundalini awakening. But it's so deep and it's so complicated, and degular people can't understand this knowledge, but I can understand it, but I can't really tell it to you, because if I tell it to you, then you and I will know the same shit, and we can't have any of that now, can we? Because I still have to flex like I'm better than you, which is fine. We'll get into the Kundalini shit in a minute. The techniques of breathing exercises, visualizations, mudras, bandhas, kriyas, and mantras are focused on manipulating the flow of subtle energy through the chakras. And we just gave you the definition of the chakra. So I'm gonna read some more about debunking these myths and why it's important for women to get away from these this Hinduism, or this belief in Hinduism, and this belief in the chakras. I just want to get into it, but I have to give you the backstory of where I'm going with this video. So we're going to get into the chakras first. I really don't have a lot of time, but I will put all of the links in my bio. And another thing about the links in the bio, I always put links in the bio. YouTube takes them out. I'm not sure why YouTube does that, but all of the information that I have in this, all of my slides, everything, I always put it in. And then when I look, YouTube removes it. Not sure why it does it, but you know, if you're a member of the website, you already know where all this information is. I never hide anything. I never gatekeep anything. It doesn't make any sense. So this article, written by the Light Collective, is called the 7 Deadly Myths of the Chakras. And I just wanted to read a little bit to you. And then we have to go into how Hinduism views women, because that's the whole point of the video. Hinduism and women, and why women should no longer subscribe to Hinduism at all. But I'm just going to read this one little paragraph, and then we have to get into the belief that this religion, Hinduism, is a religion of peace. And those people who do participate in this religion have a peaceful mindset. But I need to show you how Hindu men view women and why they view women the way they do, because it has to go back to the readings. It has to go back to their spiritual texts. It has to go back to that. The reason why women are treated a certain way in India is because it's written for men to treat women this certain way. Meanwhile, women are all over the world talking about chakras, but the origins of that mythology, the origins of those beliefs comes from a group of men who don't even respect women. And as a matter of fact, if you really research it, Hindu men believe that women should be raped. Why do you think that there's a rape crisis in India now that's never going to end? It's because it's written in their book. It's written in their book that this is how they should treat women. But before we get into that, let's get into this, because I always find it ironic that so many women are walking around talking about chakras, a male ideological Indian male belief, but they have no idea where the fucking shit comes from or what it says in their books about the chakras and about women who practice Hinduism and what happens to those women. You have no idea, because it's cute to have no idea. It's cute to be trendy. I said this before for the spiritual girly. It's cute to walk around and look like a hippie and look down your nose at all of the people who aren't vegans and pretend that you're just above it all. And this is why I think a lot of women subscribe to a lot of shit. They have to have one up on someone else. Sad, but true. This says, myth number 1, the 7 chakras of the human body. And again, if I'm mispronouncing some of these words, you can correct me in the comment section. I don't give a shit to break my brain to try to give respect to any of these beliefs, considering that this is a religion that when you go and you read a lot of the Sanskrits, it says that, you know, it's okay to do what these men are doing to little girls and even to infant babies, right? So let's get into it. Yes, you heard me right. This is what the article is saying. This idea that there is a definitive number and location for the chakras wasn't a part of the classical tantric tradition. The chakras were mutable, liable to change in the tradition, and each lineage or school of Tantra had a different way of relating to the chakras. Some schools worked with 5, some used 9, others 16. None of them were considered incorrect. Rather, the number of chakras you worked with related to the kinds of practices your school focused on. Some schools focused on deities and others the 5 elements. For this reason, the different number of energy centers made sense to different traditions on top of the Sanskrit names that we have in common to know as meaning the different chakras. I'm going to read that again. On top of that, the Sanskrit names that we have come to know as meaning the different chakras. You have the root chakra, sacral chakra, navel chakra, heart chakra, throat chakra, third eye chakra. That's a really important one. You can Google or go into YouTube right now on how to open your third eye, right? Crown chakra. These were not the exclusive names for the chakras. In fact, along with the varying location and numbers of the chakras across different lineages, the names of each of the chakras vary too. And she goes into all of it, and I'm gonna try to put this link in the description of this video, and I'm going to make sure that you have it. I can even put it in the community section if you want to, but I'm not sure, because every time I try to put videos, I said this before, And I'm going to put all this information there so you can have it. And I also need you to go look up the book entitled The Serpent Power, written by a man named Arthur Avalon. This is a British man who came across ancient Indian texts, and he mistranslated their whole shit. So remember when I spoke earlier about the Kundalini and this belief that there's this Kundalini snake and all of these. Please just bear with me. I have to read this to you so that you can understand where it comes from, because this development is a historical development, and I need for women to get this. So get a pen and paper, and I want you to just jot some shit down, right? And this is what it reads, because I have the Serpent Power in the Discord, but this is what it also reads. There are a few reasons. And that the title of this is, Where Did This Go Wrong? How did the chakras get associated with a snake and Kundalini rising and all of these other things? How did this happen? Here it is. I'm going to give it to you. There are a few reasons, one being that in the early 20th century, a British translator called Arthur Avalon discovered a late Hatha text, the period lineage of yoga that came after Tantra. He mistranslated much of this text into a book called The Serpent Power, which became a big hit across the world and influenced everyone from Carl Jung to Joseph Campbell, Enodia Judith, and every other person who wrote a book or blog on the chakras in the last 100 years. If you want to read more about this, head to our blog, and it gives you the name of the blog, because it's all about the Kundalini and how this one British white man fucked everything up for everyone. And his mistranslation is the reason why you have so many people believing in the Kundalini spirit right now. It doesn't exist. It never existed originally in this text. So now we have the backstory. We're going to move on to it, and we're going to move on to how this is not a religion of peace. This is not a religion of that belongs to the upliftment of women. This is not a religion that women should participate in because of some of the things that I'm going to read to you from its text. Similar to, like, you know, the Islam has the Quran, Christians have the Bible, Hinduism, they have their own readings, their own writings, and I'm going to get into that right now. Also, shout out to Anora, who's a member on my website and is Indian. She doesn't live in India. She lives in the States, but she's familiar with Hinduism and kind of gave me the drop on this religion and how this religion views women. So just to give you some backstory and some information so that you can have it for your own knowledge, the holy book for Hinduism is called the Vedas, right? And the Vedas is broken up into 4 primary books. The first book is Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, and the last one is Atharva Veda. So I need for you to get that in your head so that you can have that information. And I also want you to know, when it comes to their belief in God, it's like a mixture in Hinduism. So Hinduism has monotheistic, one God, and polytheistic, many God elements. So that's what you're going to get. It's kind of a mixture of certain mini gods and then one big God, and it all comes together to kind of make this story. So now that you have that, I want for you to kind of write down the 3 main gods of Hinduism. And this is very important because we're going to get into the behavior of these gods and how these gods treated women. So the 3 main Hindu gods that make up the Trimurti, are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Brahma is the god of creation, Vishnu is the god of preservation, and Shiva is the god of destruction. Just keep those names in mind for the next portion of this, because we're going to get into why women should not believe in Hinduism at all. And I just wanted to read to you about this woman. Her name is Jyoti Singh Pandey. And this is a case from 2012. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because what happened to her goes directly with this religion that I'm talking to you about right now. So I'm just going to get into it. This essay was inspired by the gang rape of 23-year-old Jyoti Singh Pandey in Delhi, India on December 16, 2012. 13 days later, she died in Singapore. She died in a Singapore hospital from injuries caused by insertion of an iron rod by her 6 attackers. The authors first analyzed the remarks of politicians and religious leaders that invoked religious nationalist ideas to diminish the responsibility of the attackers, to exonerate traditional Hindu ways of life, and to blame the victim. The essay next examines the cultural and religious context of gang rape, in particular the positive and negative images of women in traditional Hindu mythologies and scriptures, right? Theories about why some men rape and why some rapists mutilate the genitalia of their victims are considered. The essay includes results of interviews and surveys of Indians in India carried out during the summer of 2013. Questions focused on religious issues such as the extent to which the mentality that women transgressing traditional limits are responsible for what happens to them fosters a rape-tolerant atmosphere. The authors conclude that part of the sacred tradition can be useful for enhancing the status of safety of women in India today, while other clearly misogynistic parts must be recognized, critiqued, and discarded. So that's what we're doing right now. We're going to critique and then we're going to discard. Because if you subscribe to a religion and this religion in its holy text says that it's okay to rape women and then mutilate their genitalia, something is very wrong with that religion. Everything associated with that religion should be discarded, including the cute and trendy belief in chakras. It should all be put in the trash because, again, you are subscribing to a religion that clearly states that this is how you should treat women. So you can't a la carte Hinduism. If you're going to claim that you are into the chakras and aligning them, then you have to buy the whole farm. Right? You can't just pick and choose what you want to believe in, because we critique Christians for doing that, right? So we have to critique the spiritual girlies and other people who subscribe to this belief as well. We just have to. And one thing that I've noticed about when reading the Vedas, the entire fucking shit is filled with sex. It's filled with sex, sex and more sex, sex with animals, sex with children, sex with child. It's just filled with sex and rape, and this is how you know that a man put this shit in a book. It has to be, because every single instance where a woman is mentioned, she's nude, she's naked, she's about to get it, she's about to have sex. That's all that you read in there, right? And then it's very poetic. And it makes it, you know, if you are the reader, you're kind of reading it, and it's like you're reading soft smut, if you want me to be honest with you. But let's just get into one of the translations that I can put on YouTube, and then I'll put the link in the description of the video so that you can look it up yourself and kind of, you know, read this bullshit. But it says, the completely naked woman saw him coming, and most embarrassed with a smile ran sheer, and there to hide behind the trees. Women are always walking around naked. It says, Lord Shiva, Brahma, distracted by his senses, fell victim to lust, like he was a male elephant going for a she-elephant. Speeding after her, he caught her by the braid of her hair and pulled her close against her will in order to embrace her against her will. You read that. She, the she-elephant with her hair scattered, being captured by him, the bull, that was the Lord's devotee, swarming like a snake, managed to free herself. O king, having escaped from the tight grip of the Lord of the demigods, she ran quickly away with her heavy hips so expressingly exhibiting the illusory potency of the Lord. Like being haunted by the devil, Ruda, in the grip of lust, engaged in the pursuit of him whose acts so wondrously were taking place in front of him. Chasing her like a mad bull going for a female, the semen was discarded of him who never spills his semen in vain. Each and every place where his semen fell on earth, O great ruler, those places became mines of silver and gold. It's this constant, if you ever read some of the Vedas, there's this constant focus on men spilling semen. And that semen and the spilling of that semen is linked to all things prosperous in the world. So you have this culture where men are reading things like this. So what are they going to be doing every single time that they get a chance? They're going to be trying to spill semen all over the place. And how do you sleep? You need to be sexually aroused to do so. And this is what you read in their text. But we're going to get into more of it because I want you to really get a grip on some of this shit I'm about to spill to you. Not spill, but you know what I mean. So here are some scriptures from these holy religious Hinduism books and what it says about women. And we can find this in all of these books. You can find it in the Quran, you can find it in the Bible, and you could also find it in the Vedas, right? And it says in this Veda, I'm going to read it to you. It says, Rama spoke thus these words, and to her who was weeping, as long as a woman is alive, her husband is God and master to her. Adding to his tears to his mother who was wailing, Rama said, as long as a woman lives, her husband is her God and also her Lord and master. Another scripture from the Vedas, even if a woman is interested in religious vows and fasting, in addition to being the best of the excellent, if she does not obey her husband, she will be or become ill-fated. It puts become in parentheses. It also says a woman may be highly pious, engaged in vows and fasting, but if she does not follow her husband, she will be condemned to hell. It also says in regards to purchasing a wife or purchasing a girl, if she is not willing, he should buy her over. And if she is still unyielding, he should strike her with a stick or with the hand and proceed, uttering and following the mantra, I take away your reputation, etc. She is then actually discredited. The husband is considered the worshipful deity of the woman, Vasudhya, who, situated in the heart of all as the husband of the goddess of fortune, is worshipped as the supreme lord by men through the forms and names of different divinities, is there also for women in the form of the husband. A husband is the supreme demigod for a woman, the supreme personality of Godhead, Lord Vasudeva. The husband of the goddess of fortune is situated in everyone's heart and is worshipped through the various names and forms of the demigods by fruitive workers. Similarly, a husband represents the Lord as the object of the worships for a woman. And we have to keep going back to scripture. Women do the heavy lifting in society. So while women are out there, they're working, they're taking care of their children, they're going to school, they're doing all of these things to remain afloat in society so that they don't fucking starve. What are men doing? Men are sitting down and they're studying. Men are sitting down and they're reading. Men are sitting down amongst each other and they're talking about these ancient scriptures with all of the chakras in it and all of this bullshit. So I'm going to give you the Vedas and what it says about rape. And this is a reason why India has now the title of the rape capital of the world. Why would it not have that title? Why would it not have that title? It says in their book that rape is okay. And let's get into it. It says here, Vishnu is said to have raped Tulsi, Virinda, by assuming the guise of her husband. What can be more disgusting than a god? This is a god raping a chaste lady, and much worse is the celebration of this rape as a festival. Yes, you read that right. Hindus proudly celebrate the rape of Virindi by Vishnu in a festival called the Tulsi Vivaha. Okay, so we're going to get into it and we're going to read it, and please forgive me with the pronunciation of some of these words. It says Shiva Purana Rudi Samata 2 Yuddha Kanda 5, and it says, I guess this is chapter 23 to 38 to 45, on seeing her husband, and this is in the Vedas, okay? So on seeing her husband, Brenda was too delighted. She forgot her sorrow. She considered everything a dream. Delighted in the heart and with all the dormant passions kindled up, she sported with him for many days in the middle of that forest. Once, and at the end of the sexual intercourse, she realized that it was Vishnu. Verda rebuked him angrily and spoke thus. Vrunda said, fie on this misdeed, Vishnu, in outraging the modesty of another man's wife. I have now realized you as the wielder of illusions appearing in the guise of the aesthetic. And then it says, it goes on And it says, in great anger, she showed her brilliant powers as a staunch chaste lady by cursing Vishnu. And then it goes into it, but I'm going to put this all in the comment section. The two persons whom you made to appear in front of me shall become Raksasas and abduct your wife. You will be distressed on account of your separation from your wife, roaming without the Sesa, Lord of Snakes, who posed as your disciple here. You will seek the help of monkeys in the forest. So we read about Vishnu raping someone. That's one god. Let's read about Indra. It says Indra was a very popular among gods and sages for ravishing others' wives, and had done this to Ihala by assuming the form of her husband, sage Gautama. Let's read about another god, Shiva. Shiva was another god. I think I read that to you early. Another god who's also in the Vedas raping a woman is named Soma. And it says, after conquering the three worlds, the upper, middle, and lower planetary systems, Soma, the moon god, performed a great sacrifice known as the Rajasa Yahana. Because he was very much puffed up, he forcibly kidnapped Varsharpi's wife, whose name was Tara. We also have Brihaspati, which is the guru of all gods, raped his own pregnant sister-in-law named Mamata. A man with that kind of heart would do that. Another god in this Hinduism, Varuna. Varuna is the god of water. He is praised in several hymns in the Vedas. A story mentioned in the Mahabharata tells Varuna's rape of Bahardi's, another wife of Hathia. Surya. I apologize for the names, but this is spelled Surya. I think that's Surya. Surya is the sun god, and several hymns of Vedas are dedicated to him. He raped the virgin Kunti. Kunti was just examining her mystic power, and the sun god appeared before her and was smitten with passion after seeing the young and beautiful girl, and then he raped her. We have another few gods here who are all in this book raping women like regular. It's like regular full hum, pass the butter. We have Ashwin Kumara. Ashwin Kumara was the son of the sun god. He is said to have raped Brahmin, a lady, and he impregnated her. Brahma is the creator, is said to have raped his own daughter, Saraswati. There's another few gods here, and you can go look this all up yourself. So when we talk about why are these men in India raping the women, what is it now? Every 90 minutes, a woman in India is raped? Why do you think so now? What books are they reading that says that raping a woman is okay? If it's okay for their gods to rape women, why don't you think that they wouldn't do it and not think that there's anything wrong with it? And before I get out of here, I wanted to dedicate this video to the doctor. And I'm sure you heard about this case because this case is so disgusting. And this happened on August 9th, 2024. And it's Bita Debnath. And I just want to read you her autopsy report. And I wanted to point out the amount of, I think they found 150 milligrams of semen inside of her. Now, because they're doing damage control, because it kind of looks bad that this happened to this doctor who was only working to help people. What the Hindu Times is doing now in India is that they're trying to clean up this story by saying, oh no, she didn't have 150 milligrams of semen in her. She had other fluids inside of her that we thought were semen. But yeah, bullshit. It's all fucking bullshit. And it's so fucking wrong. And it's so disgusting. And the fact that they told her family that this doctor, this brilliant woman, committed suicide is disgusting because the autopsy reports shows differently. And another thing that's very vile when it comes to this story is that after she died, the #1 search in the porn websites in India was of her name. So after she died this tragic way, being gang raped by how many men, what were the men looking for in India? They wanted to see, her death. They wanted to see the gang rape. And this is why pornography is so dangerous. This is why pornography should be abolished, because it romanticizes gang rapes as women like, for this to happen. Women like this, right? So an autopsy revealed that Debnath had been raped and sexually assaulted before being killed via strangulation. The report, spanning 4 pages, also noted a deep wound in her genital tract, lips, left leg, right hand, finger, ring finger, neck, and face. The report revealed that the scratch marks on the woman's face were likely caused by the culprit's fingernails. According to the report, pressure was applied to her mouth and throat, and she was strangled, resulting in a fracture of the thyroid cartilage. The report also noted bleeding from her eyes, bleeding from her mouth, and bleeding from her genitals, with the injuries in her genitals area attributed to perverted sexuality and genital torture, right? The exact cause of the injuries to her eyes remains undetermined. You know what they were doing to her eyes, right? Because she's already dead at this point. So every hole is up for grabs with these barbaric men. Right? It was reported that the post-mortem autopsy also revealed that around 150 milligrams of semen was found in the vaginal swab. This finding, along with the extent of injuries, led doctors who assessed the autopsy report and the victim's parents to suggest that Debnath may have been subjected to gang rape. Yeah, you think? You think? So, let me know what you think about this video. Let me know what you think about rape culture being in the holy books of this ancient religion that everyone holds up so dear. Let me know what you think about women participating in this religion. And let me know what you think about the chakras. Because, all the spiritual girlies, they're nothing if they're not talking about, being fully aligned with the chakras, not knowing that it's all bullshit, not knowing that where it comes from. There's no physical proof of it. These are just ideologies that men put down. And further, when we talk about the Kundalini rising, the Kundalini rising comes from a man who misinterpreted those scriptures, because he's not from there. He was from Britain. This is a white man who came into that country, thought he was doing something wild, and he was wrong, right? So get into the comment section. Let me know what you think. I'm going to continue this series until I cover all 4 religions. We're going to get Islam next, which is easy. Christianity after that, which is easy, cake. And then we're going to get into, I wanted to do Rastafarianism, but I don't know if I should do Rastafarianism, because Rastafarianism is based on the Bible, considering that some people claim that Haile Selassie is related to King David himself, but you and I know that King David never fucking existed. Right? You know that King David never existed. And even furthermore, if we do talk about Jesus, Jesus is not related to King David. This is why Jewish people don't believe that he's the Christ. And you could see that in the Bible. If you read the genealogy of Christ in the Bible, Matthew chapter 1, and also I think it's Luke chapter 2 or 3 in the New Testament. And it shows you right there, there's no relation to Jesus Christ and King David. And what is the scripture says? The Christ will come from the line of David because of God's vow to David in the Old Testament. But we'll get into it. Like, share, yeah.